and welcome to this conversation chat with myself, James Denny, COO here at Sales Geeks. Of all things geek, there's a few questions we want to pose to my amazing panel here. I'm going to get these gentlemen to introduce themselves, their background and why they're here, and then we're going to have a little conversation about all things geek. So if I could just start with you, young gentlemen, if you were to just introduce yourself, tell who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your background.
Of course, yeah. My name's Darren Neal. I am the local geek for Sales Geek Blackburn here in East Central and West Lancashire. I'm almost 4.5 years into my Sales Geek journey now, which has gone in the blink of an eye. My background, I've been involved in sales for the last 32 years. The last 20 years have been global senior sales, VP, senior vice president and vice president of sales, and then founder of exiting on businesses and various different business pieces. And joined Sales Geek early 2021. And here I am, 4.5 years later, enjoying every day.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that. John.
Yeah. Hi, John Whitby. Again, I've been here joined very similar time, about just over 4 years ago. I look after Cheshire, East and North Staffordshire as my area. My background, again, sales career, 32 years. I've done everything from telesales, knocking on doors, selling photocopiers back in the day, but most of my experience is in the motor industry, automotive industry, where I started off trainee salesperson, went way up to general sales manager, a couple of Audi dealerships around the Northwest, and then worked for Tesla for 5 years when they first kind of came to the UK and helped build their offering in the UK. Ended up running the in-store sales operation for the UK the last 18 months I was there.
Very good. And the newbie on the end?
I was going to say, I'm the new kid on the block. Mark Hargreaves, I'm the Sales Geek covering Bradford, Halifax, Huddersfield and Skipton, so pretty much all of West Yorkshire. New kid on the block, joined the business in March 2024. My background is 30 years in sales, so I'm also younger. Get that one in. All in and around the construction industry, various parts of construction, from product distribution, subcontracting, specialist manufacture. Worked my way up from a guy with a yellow bucket full of hardware samples, wandering around with the yellow pages trying to find joiners and builders, all the way up to sales director running a £35 million business. As I said, I joined Sales Geek 16 months ago. Built up quite a nice little business over there in West Yorkshire, even though I'm a very proud Lancastrian. They are starting to accept me over there.
Yeah, I'm finding that.
Yeah, it was a challenge to begin with, I won't lie. Walking into a room full of very proud Yorkshire people and very quick to let me know that I shouldn't be over there. Should be over there today.
Yeah. Back on that side of the wall, thank you very much.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. But no, loving every minute of it.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen, for the introduction. I suppose the first question is what I'm going to talk about as we go through to give everyone watching the video a concept of why we work with Geek, what we do with Geek, what we do with clients, the services we provide, the outcomes we sort of deliver. But I think I want to start on a quick question. I'll start with you, John, if I may. What made you be a geek in the first place? What made you come join this fraternity that you can go out there and work with clients? Why us?
Yeah, good question. I think at the time I left, I was looking for a role, and to be honest with you, I put into LinkedIn sales director, head of sales roles. That was roles I was going after. Had a couple of interviews, then pulled out because I just thought, I just don't want to do that. I've been there, done that. And then Sales Geek came up with the sales director algorithm came up, and I was like, well, franchise, it'll be a business. Always wanted to do that. Never had the courage to go and do it really. But actually, having the franchise kind of just de-risks things a bit. It's a franchise model. There's the help there, the support for it. It was just the right time of life for me to go and do it as well. And I can remember, it seems like a long time ago now. I came to meet you and Richard during COVID. I had a chat with you and I just said, yeah, let's just do this. And best thing I ever did. It's not been a better roses all the way through, but now 4 years later, delivering everything that
I remember, I think it was a little bit after you joined us. You come and said, I'm sure you were here, and you said one of the great things of being a geek, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, and you could say, actually, no, gentlemen, I said that, in which case that's fine. But I'm pretty sure you said something along the lines, one of the great things about being a geek is you get to go to work in the light, come home in the light, seeing hits. Before everything was in the dark, you never saw anybody.
Yeah, I think just, I guess, corporate background is works I worked all the way through COVID and twice as hard as I was doing before that. And the role I was doing at Tesla then, and enjoyed it, but very rarely saw my house in daylight. And the weekends as well, working weekends, and phone always on, which it always is now, but it's on my own terms as well. And I think being able to still got to work hard, but to be able to do that on your own terms, dance to your own tune, is worth a lot to me. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How about you then? The patriarch of the business now, are you? Because
I don't know.
You're nearly the oldest serving person here, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm nearly. John and I joined at the same time. Do you mean at my age? John, am I?
No, legacy service. I know we're legacy service, so I'm a damn tune.
Thank you very much. Yeah, John and I joined almost at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you and I are.
OGs.
We're the OGs. The OGs, yeah.
Lisa's thereabouts as well.
She was way after us.
She'll be watching this.
That's a message in mind. What does it say on the wall outside?
Yeah, what's it?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The wall of fame. Why did I join Geek? The story I spent the last at least decade prior to joining the working all around the world, building and training sales teams and doing go-to-market, route-to-market strategies for mainly in the healthcare space all around the world, mainly South America, North America, Scandinavia, Western Europe, and Asia Pacific. And as romantic as it sounds, it was exhausting. So you see, I was in the daylight. I was on this country for a long time. And one of the pivotal reasons for me, with my business partner at the time passed away in 2020, not from COVID, but early 2020, he passed away. And I lost the impetus and lost the momentum and motivation to carry on doing it by myself. So there was an possibility for me to get out, and I did. And I was mucking around on LinkedIn, similar to you, John, saw this Sales Geek thing. Thought that looks quite different. That looks quite cool. Doesn't look like anything else out there. Made the call to Richard, and while I didn't really put two and two together, but whilst I'm on it because it was a Zoom call, because obviously we were in COVID, and I said, "Is that Black Movie Feature behind you?" And he went, "Yeah." "Where are you?" And I went, "I'm about 1.5 miles down the road." And he went, "Well, come in." And I went, we're in COVID. And he went, "Yeah, just come in." It's all right, didn't you? So wearing the correct PPE, of course.
Yeah.
Came into the office when we were upstairs in a smaller office than where we are now, but this building. I think you were here.
I was here.
I was here. I think that was it. Maybe one or two other people. And even though there was a short amount of people in the building and in the office, the vibe that I got and the feeling that I got and the due diligence and the question and answer that we did on that day, even before I left the room, I decided that I was going to join. I did tell you on the day.
The salesman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the reason I joined. It felt different. It was different. It sounded different. And it's been a rocket ride ever since.
Brilliant. Mark, what was it? Why you? Why here?
A number of reasons. I've spent 30 years in and around construction, working for some big organisations. I've seen some of the best and the worst behaviours from PLCs. I fell victim to the worst behaviour from a PLC who acquired the business I was working for. We were assured that we would be left alone to run the business for 3 years whilst we transitioned. Within 6 months, the managing director that employed me was sent down the road, and they took a knife to the board of directors one by one over a period of 18, 24 months. So even though the company I was working for was moving forward in really challenging times in construction, that didn't fit with the PLC plan. And if you just felt like it didn't matter what you did, you weren't making a difference to anybody. Even you had the best month on record, you get a bit of a, yeah, well done, and then move on. It didn't really change anybody's life. So it finally came, it was my turn. A knife was taken to my role. And a bit like John, I had a look around at some jobs and I really can't muster the energy and enthusiasm to reinvent myself and go again and go and build a sales team and build some success and then just roll it forward and do the same each month. It didn't excite me at all. And the algorithms on LinkedIn kicked in. I was doing a bit of work for a friend of mine's business. He asked me to write him a business development strategy. So I'm dabbling in that, thinking, there could be a thing in this. And then Sales Geek popped up. came in and met you and Rich, and in the meantime, found out that my dad had died and I'd inherited a little bit of cash. And so, well, if not now, when? Let's just go and roll the dice and go into what's the worst that can happen. And here I am, 14, 15 months later, it is probably the best thing that's ever happened.
Brilliant.
I think one thing to add on that is when you came in another conversation, Darren and I had very similar comment, and I thought, knew straight away, this feels right, I'm going to do it. And still, I haven't read the contract yet. I need to do that. but I wouldn't. but like that is still here. Even the scaled up so quickly over the years, and that feeling and that energy is still here. And it'd be very, very easy for that to have eroded over the time, but it hasn't. So
that's what we can say. Excellent. So, you geeks, you've been here 18 months, up to 4 years and a bit more. We've got a number of products and services in our portfolio. What's your favourite to deliver? What do you like doing?
If you'd have asked me that 2 years ago, I'd have had a very succinct answer for that.
Okay.
But as we've developed as a business, as Geek have developed as a business, and we have many more strings to our bow, for me, it's a blended version of a few things that make a difference to clients. Our hero products, sales directorship and sales training. A blend of those with mentoring and sort of diagnostics and leadership stuff in and around that is making the biggest difference to the businesses that I'm working with, that's for sure. YSD, your sales director, is a very easy thing to understand. We're interim fractional sales directors that we work with businesses. And people get that and understand that. But to provide additional things in and around that on a retained basis is where I'm getting certainly over the last 12 months and into more recent times is where I'm getting all my success. And it gives us and them better traction and more regular touch points.
Yeah. And
you're able to influence the business a lot more positively on a weekly basis rather than a 1 or 2 day month basis where you're in and out of the business once a month, once every couple of weeks. Although you can impact change, it's more impactful if you are having regular touch points. So it's not an easy. Has that answered the question?
Yes, I think so. Is yours more as many? Because I don't know a number of services now.
I think I enjoy the bit I enjoy is delivering value to our customers and delivering growth. And I enjoy that. Yeah, but each client is different, right? So it's not. I'm not going to. I enjoy your sales director delivering that. I'm not going to try and deliver that to every single client. I'll go every single one. So it's it depends. I probably find most 80% of what I do now is pure sales director. Whether that's intentional, I don't think it is. But yeah, it's what I tend to do. But I love the training, the sales training side of it. What I've really found great this last 18 months to 2 years is bringing individuals from different businesses together and training those together. Yeah. And it's been hard to try and do that on my own to get those people together, but actually working with partners like James and Commerce and getting them to bring in their people and delivering those training sessions has been fantastic, and I found that really rewarding. And then there's opportunities off the back of that. And then I've got one mentoring client at the moment. Kind of started off as your sales director, and it's kind of now morphed into working with one person and work with that and enjoying that as well. So depends what the client needs and whatever they need for us to deliver the growth is fine. So
yeah, I think that I come to Mark and say I think that's the important part within the way our portfolio works and our access points to clients for clients to understand is you can come in under the guise of one thing you think you want a sales training, and that can then morph into anything. Right? It could be we'll find out is actually you need support around the sales directorship. You might need support and mentoring. Could be this is something else. And because of our depth and breadth and range, I think of the caliber of everyone we've got across 4 continents, 60 plus points of girls, 1,400 plus years of combined experience. There isn't anything we don't know in a business across different aspects, and therefore. I think, as the two of you were just saying there, YSD, your sales director, when we're into business, it morphs into all sorts of different things. So, yeah. What's your favourite, Mark?
Well, my favourite assignment so far has been a mentoring assignment that I started back in September. It was a an experienced leader, but had never had sales in his title, had never been responsible for sales, and he'd inherited a team that were a little bit demotivated, and the business just said, we want you to take on the role, we want to support you in it. We've found Sales Geek, we'd been referred to them by somebody that they've worked alongside, and to see the growth of an individual through that period, it's really, really rewarding. It's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life, apart from bringing 2 children into the world. Although that has its challenges. But yeah, just to see the transformation in it. He comes every 2 weeks now, and he brings his problems, and we discuss his problems. Some inside work, some outside work. He uses me as a sounding board. When we're coming out of work-related problems, it's more often coming to me with 4 or 5 options of what he wants to do. Whereas at the start, he comes to me and says, Mark, I don't know. I've never done this before. What do I do? So we've set budgets, we're doing that, and a complete sales strategy that's building towards an exit for the business owner. So it's some complicated stuff that we're going through, and he's not, you can really see that his eyes light up rather than having that fear, that rabbit in the headlights. I've got a target on my back. What do I do? It's now, that's my target. I've set that target. I know where it's coming from. I know what my individuals are capable of, and I know what I'm capable of. So that's been really rewarding. But obviously, I've got 2 or 3 your sales director assignments, and some of that is morphing into your sales mentor and a little bit of your sales trainer. So you can see how people do access the services through one lens. And then once you're working with a business, you can see all the other areas that you can help out with.
So if you had to explain, I'll just make it as a main question, you can dive at your leisure. If you had to explain to an audience what your sales director was and why they would want to care about it, what would you say to somebody? There you go, put me on the spot.
I think it's a service there that any business can access and should potentially access, even if they have a sales director in their business. I think the amount of skill and knowledge across the network, every organisation in the world can tap into at some level. What does your sales director do for a business? Well, as many times I've been working on, I'm the buffer between the sales team and the business owner. The business owner's had a good idea, or he's stolen somebody else's idea. He's built a business, he's built a sales team, doesn't know how they operate, doesn't know how they think, and doesn't know how to drive them to get to the next level. So they bring me in and say, okay, over to you.
That's a very... in my time when I was doing delivery, I found that whole over to you concept a real powerful motivator for people to want to engage with us and to get to talk to us, because sometimes the struggles of leadership and of management, if you've never experienced that before, you don't have the depth and range in that space to then say to somebody, you know this field, go do that for me. It frees them up to do all sorts of things, takes a lot of pressure off of people. It's really important.
I think that's key, actually. It is. When you go and speak to a business and expose the products, the YSD product, your sales director product, and start talking about the complexities of what that involves and what you do for a business, we can talk anecdotally about the businesses that we've worked with and how it's helped them, not just from our own perspective, but from Sales Geek perspective in terms of the combination and what, like, experience-wise. You see a sort of some colour drain out of their face as you go through these things, because they quite quickly realise these are skills from an observational perspective of someone outside looking in, they've never considered, didn't know existed, don't know how to do it. And there's when you start to say, don't worry, we own the revenue line, everything behind, we can do this and we can do that, and this is what happens, and that's how it works, and these are the people involved. There's a huge relief that you can see in their face when they go, thanks very much, please can you do that for me? Because they're working inside the business and therefore are completely blindsided by what actually is going on, or they don't know what's going on. Because they don't look at it from an objective perspective. So when somebody like us comes in as their sales director, however long that may be for, or sometimes 2-3 hours to working with the client 4 years on, it gives them what you said. It's described as business counselling. It's been described as business counselling to me a number of times, because they come away after a half a day or a day and they're just like, this has been brilliant. Everything's on pilot. I can see clearly. I can work out some strategy. But what you touched on there, they can then go away and do things that they are really good at and that is driving revenue for the business in other ways outside of the sales director arena.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of what we do under sales directorship that enables people, to coin your term, to stop working in the business and work on the business. And that's an important part. Yeah, but so I'm going to throw some stats at you, boys and girls. Ready for this one? Okay, so 2024 numbers I'll give you. Do you know how many businesses there were in the world? Are in the world in 2024? How many businesses registered that do VAT or tax in their local country? So we're going to get rid of a line that I'm not batting and stuff like that. Sure.
1 billion business.
Wow, okay, that's a pretty big number.
500 million.
500 million.
I'll go in the middle, 750.
St John's near there, so it's just over 500 million. It's 586 million businesses worldwide.
Over the VAT threshold.
Yeah, over that threshold. There are billions.
We see I wasn't saying
We're in millions once we get below Lincoln, all right? So that's fair enough. Now, what is the percentage of that 500 million there or thereabouts of businesses is under 30 employees?
So, well, if it's thinking about my construction background, it's something like 90% in construction are under 30 employees. It's a ridiculous amount.
That's about percent.
96.
Ooh. You can tell with a poker blade. That's 98.3%. Wow, businesses under 30 employees globally. Wow. So the small amount of percentage of businesses that make up multi-thousand, I mean, in the UK, we've got 5.5 there or thereabouts million businesses in 2024, 2025. And there are the government sort of scheme where they put businesses in their sizes. You're 250 people, 250 employee people, you're still in SME.
Yeah.
It's just mad, isn't it? It's really bonkers. It's rare to find companies with 250 employees. About
Same statistic here, 98.1%.
it's 97.2% in the UK.
Perfect.
Which means the question, which try and tie this together, is how many of those businesses have sales directors? Of the 97.2% of people that have 30 employees or less, how many of them are sales directors?
3%.
5%.
Yeah, it's between 5 and 7%.
Yeah.
He counting head of sales in that as well.
Yeah, there's some
Sales director under a different
There's a head off. Yeah, head off.
It's not good as fancy talking.
There's a blur in that.
business development.
Now, the question I've got, which is not a stat around this though, but it's an open question, I suppose. How many of those businesses need the experience, knowledge, and understanding of a seasoned sales director that just couldn't afford the price tag that goes with one?
What was it?
That's
Worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why I think for most businesses, when they come knocking on our door, knocking on your doors to say, what is your sales director? What does that mean? What does that look like? I think one of the things I've observed, so I've been, 6 and a bit years here now. I remember one of my first clients, in fact, my very first client, if he's watching this, he'll send me a lovely message. It better be lovely anyway, I wasn't watching you, Jan. There's a chap called Jan Evans from Jets GPS. He was turning over, 60 odd grand in his first year. And he said, I ain't know nothing about sales. So I went, Stu, just give me some ideas, some guidance, some counseling. And it's the simplest of things that we can talk about to help him get to where he needed to get to. And he exited the business just recently, I think, sold it for well over $1 million, and it's retired and doing some really good things with it. But access to that experience and knowledge just to help that 5-10% of the things that they don't know or didn't realize they didn't know is a really important part of what we do.
Well, actually, I'll tell you a quick story.
Cool. I love stories.
And I won't say who the business is because it's not quite such a good ending for somebody. But I went to a business a few weeks ago to pitch for me working with them. And they had some of the leadership team in the room that I was speaking to, one of which was their incumbent sales director. Guy had been in the business 17 years. And anyway, 2 hours later, left the room. Anyway, landed the client, went back for a second meeting to meet the CEO and owner, and the sales director wasn't in the room. This was 3 weeks after the first meeting. The sales director wasn't in the room. And I went, where's such and such? Yeah, he's working his notice period. I'm like, okay. Can I ask why? Well, we realised from what you were talking about and the experience that you're bringing into the business, there was nowhere anywhere near that skill level in the business that we had. And in fact, we'd kind of been thinking about it for a while, but it was just to straw that broke the camel's back, really. So by demonstrating what actual world-class sales directorship and sales leadership should look and feel and sound like, actually brings home the gap that is in businesses where they might even have a sales director, but they're nowhere near the level of what they should be.
Well, let's look at how most sales directors get there. They start off as a salesperson. They become probably the best salesperson. They get a sales manager's job. They don't get supported. They might get lucky, get promoted to sales director. They've got none of those skills that have been honed over a number of years in leadership.
Never managed people before.
Exactly.
Rubbish.
Still all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to nominate myself as the Stagsman. I'll even understand that. So this is from Forbes. 80% of all frontline managers that have promoted from the front line, to your point, then they were a salesperson, now the sales manager, fail inside their first 2 years, and they fail for 5 principal reasons. The top 2 of those, unsupported and untrained. So it's not their fault, because sometimes, let me ask the audience, anyone watching this, and I'll ask you guys, where's your nearest school for sales managers? Where do you send your sales manager to school? What education platform do they go to? Where do they get their knowledge from? They don't, right? They do it
Learn on the job.
Learn on the job. So is it any wonder both they fail, and then subsequently, because they are at the pin's end of the business and the sales operations of a business, that the business invariably fails as well. For something that is the engine room of pretty much 99.9% of all businesses in existence today, to not have an adequately trained, supported, nurtured, developed sales leader in your business. So it could be a sales manager, it could just be just a salesperson and just slightly better than everybody else, etc. It's a criminal act as far as I'm concerned. I know that's quite a passionate statement, but you owe it to yourselves to stop businesses from failing. And you do that because you bring in great leadership to lead people. My gosh, I'm very skittle.
I pressed you come out with all these stats, none of which are written down.
No. This is my question. Oh, and my period tolerance for actually, that's my emoji from my trip to India. That's how about that was. Anyway, moving on from that. So, tell me something about YSD that you've really loved doing, that delivered something for a client that you thought, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm a geek. Don't jump in.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Clive, go on.
I'm trying to have a glass of water.
Yeah, we say you can't narrow it down to one.
No. Okay, fair enough. Give me
I wish it was one thing, because you go into every client with a magic bullet, you'd fix the problem and away you go. But I started working with a client in January. If you look back at their order intake, the best year they've ever had in this division is £2.4 million. Last year was £1.8 million. So far this year to date, 6 months, we're at £1.8 million order intake. Now, some of that is luck. Some of that is identifying where we can add value in terms of who should we be targeting, our ideal customer profile. We get 15, 20 inquiries, low-level inquiries every day that would tying up salespeople's time dealing with those low-level inquiries. We don't do that anymore. He goes into CRM, get a quote out, and he gets followed up through automation. Because if we don't win that business, it doesn't affect us. We've got our eyes on the prize. We're really focused on some of the major house builders in the UK. What they need from us is consistent supply. They need shorter lead times, and they need competitive pricing. We've fixed all those 3 things in 6 months.
Well done.
Yeah.
And then the results are there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Good man.
I think
Just go ask me the question again, Jeff.
So something you've delivered for a client that, and it can be personal, it could be revenue-based, it could be, I don't know, the key thing is that you sat there at the end of it and you've gone, this is why I do what I do. This is why I love going into a business to help people.
Okay, so I think the biggest one for me was I started working with a business 3 years ago now. I'm not working with them now, 2.5-year journey. And as is typical for somebody that approaches us and a sales gig, they will say, please come help me. There's a problem with my sales team or my sales process. It's broken. Please come and fix it. 99.999% of the time, the problem is way upstream from there, and it normally sits in and around the business or in the leadership team because it's broken culture or whatever. And we get involved in all that as well. And this particular occasion, 3 months into the journey, I had to turn around to the business owner and say, actually, it's not the sales team. Have you ever considered it could be you? And he or she said,
Keep it vague.
yeah, said, of course I know it's me, please help me. And then that flipped my provision of working with that business to directly helping that person specifically over the next 12 months. And the transformation just by working with that, I'm definitely trying to not say, was completely, it was so enlightening for the business. Everything changed. There was no leadership team, no board of directors, no finance manager, no nothing. It was just an organisation structure that went straight down from this person down or straight across. Everybody reported into them. So the transformation for them specifically, just by mentoring and coaching and helping them, was complete transformation for the business. They were glass ceiling business, £6 million, couldn't get past that, couldn't get past that. So I took myself away from the sales team, working with her. The positive byproduct of that was they influenced everything in the business in an entirely different way from that point on, certainly within a year. And we took that business from 6 million to 15.6 million inside 2 years. Wow. Just by changing the attitude of what was going on right from the very top, which then filtered down to everything else. So you could argue, all right, it was a sales geek, but we influence businesses way outside of just the sales arena.
Yeah.
This is how we coach, mentor, and help individual people and empower them and inspire them to make a difference, which subsequently has a positive effect on the sales.
Yeah. Everything will come back to a number of someone.
Correct. Yeah. I think it was just very similar to you, Darren, is look at my biggest successes, and a lot of it's down to numbers, right? We're kind of like the outcome that we deliver is consistent, sustainable growth, right? And that's what we do when we exit. You know, we're in it for finite amount of time usually, but they're on a journey then. But actually, the relationships you build with those business owners, with those people in the business, it's great. Now I've got ex-clients who I know, we still see socially, or still in contact with them now. Current clients. The friends, right? They consider us first friends, and I think that's that's rewarding for me, and I think that's what we live as well. And it also gives those business owners absolutely freedom in the business, right? Because most of them, if I look at my past clients, most of them haven't got a background in sales, so kind of just bundled along and not they don't know, right? So we come out with that, or they have got a background in sales, but they're getting pulled into everything else to actually do it properly. Yeah. And that's kind of where we come in now. And I think that's it. And I'm thinking one client in particular where I've been there nearly 4 years as well. Now it's quite an outlier. I don't normally do that year, 18 months with them. And they've been going for 35 years. Good business, great turnover, great profit. Lovely people in the business, been there a while, but some flatline for the last sort of 5 years, and that's why they want to help from us. We delivered 40% growth in the last year. We'll track to do 60% this year. It's not all down to me. They've invested heavily in the business. We've got some more people, and we've grown the sales team, and we've got we've got a really good salesperson now. He's come through, coached him, and he's a salesman. It's a great success story. But actually, the guy who runs the business is in Bedfordshire. He was in Cornwall. And I was chatting to him 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, I love having you on board. It means I can run the business and live in Cornwall. And that's like the biggest benefit. It's the greatest.
It's not just the growth, though, is it, John? It's growth by design. It's not by accident. And you don't grow and go, oh, no, I need 5 more people now. It's if we grow, this is what we need to put in place. And we'll go again. Yes.
That statement actually is really powerful. And I think that's a really important takeaway, that growth by design is what we do.
Yeah.
It's thought through. It's about digging into the detail of a business. It's about building out all the things that we do. I won't go into all the terms that we use, etc. But it's by design, and we march a business through that success story. That's a really important part. For me, I'll tell you one of the success stories. It's not my personal one, but it's one I like observing from sat in the ivory towers up here, etc. And it's actually one of yours, actually, John. I'm going to try and do it without crying. Thank you very much. So let's please the back of this is I give it. And when we observe geeks coming through the door, sort of thing, we see them come through as an exit point from wherever they last were. And as you've all kind of coined, you worked hard in your last jobs, right? But it's a truism, isn't it? I think, and I've experienced this as well. Once you leave that job, you'd like to think that they remember you, that they've relied on you, they are thankful for all the things you would have done for them. The reality is they probably forgot who you were actually the start of the month you didn't. That's the truth. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it's definitely true. So we see you through that lens when you first get in through that journey. And then we see the relationships you foster, working with other geeks, to your point, clients become friends and stuff like that. But there's two moments in my life that I really enjoy when I'm watching geeks do their things. And so we all wear the t-shirts, we all wear our kicks and stuff like that. And I think you've said it, John, a couple of those guys who go around the network have said it. They'll be out there networking, they'll be doing their stuff, they're going out talking about what we do, etc. They're doing all their networking stuff. And they walk around the room and someone comes up to them and says, "You're the geek." And they weren't wearing the kit and they were recognized in their business community. And then, so that's what I think is a really cool milestone, I think, for being a geek, because you'll know your people understand who you are in your community. And the other one is awards. You did one, you invited, I came down, and it was amazing to walk into, where was it? Where
we were in Receive College in South Cheshire.
That's it, yeah. Going to this big marquee, it was quite
South Cheshire Chamber Awards.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
We went to this big marquee, and John's in it. You haven't been with us that, 2 years maybe? 2 years. And everyone in the room knew it. That was amazing. They all come up, shook your hand. And when you're building something for yourself, I think that's a very powerful thing. I mean, that's a bit like you guys, but I like that. It's an important part. I'm going to finish one last question on YSD, and I just want to talk a little bit about training. This training is a really important part of our work. What are the big challenges you guys observe? If you can condense it down to one or two things that are the most common things you see in a business that you have an immediate impact on.
In the middle of the sales process, I see leads come in, straight down to the money and trying to close the deal. And I can probably every single business I've gone in, we just need to slow this down. Like we need to have a qualification comes, we need to build some value what we do as a business, and then we get to the money side of it. It's different for every kind of business, but I would say it's common thing. I'm always excited. They've got a lead coming in and they want to get straight down to their close money of it. Which they might get the order, but it's going to be down on the price now in value.
It's interesting.
I think that the biggest thing that I've done that makes a difference for teams, individuals collectively as teams, is empower them to operate without fear. So you see a lot of fear operating within the sales arena and within sales teams and people, and you'll have a huge pipeline. Sometimes not so huge, but most of the time there's some decent numbers in there. And it's a pipeline that's not funnel shaped, it's a square, because it goes straight down and then straight to the head. Because there's all this stuff stuck opportunity, because they're not asking for the business. Sure. They're not taking them through a process where ordinarily the next natural thing is to say, okay, so shall we go ahead?
Yeah.
And that's through fear. So by taking away that fear, by implementing and training in the right areas of saying the right things, asking the right questions, going through the right processes to make it really natural to ask for the business without fear, it is a big thing that's transformational for the people that I work with. And that's made a huge difference to conversion rates for the government beyond the funnel. Because people are asking, because as we all know, it's far more important to qualify people out of the sales process than to qualify them in. Yeah, because we want to be spending time with the people that are going to be genuinely giving us business and not just trying to let them sit there because it looks good on our platform.
Cool. Well, I agree with both what these two guys have just said. I'll just give you a little example of something that's had an immediate impact. We've employed a BDM stroke SDR at one of the companies I'm working with. And I'll be honest, she really struggled for the first month. She's not from a construction background, so she didn't understand the terminology, didn't understand the job roles. And was just making repeat calls one after the other. There was no objective to the calls. So I sat there with her, I talked her through, came back a week later, and it hadn't really made any change. So we talked about the problems, and she's like, I'm just not getting past the gatekeeper. I'm not doing this. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I don't want to work in a call centre. We said, well, it's not a call centre role. This is a role to develop relationships. So we need to reposition what you think is a good outcome from a call. So just put a game together and say, okay, so if you get a buyer's name, that's 5 points. If you get his direct email address, that's 10 points. If you get to speak to him, it's 15 points. And build it up. And at the end of it, it's a spreadsheet. You'll love it, James. It's a spreadsheet.
Another spreadsheet.
And if we get over 50 points, it turns green.
Yeah.
Because then you might not turn it green on your first call. But, if you get an amber, then you go back the following week and you try and fill in those gaps, those dots. And you're creating a bit of a funnel there that's outside of CRM. It doesn't need to sit in there. And it's just something for you to focus on each time you pick up that phone. Which bit of information am I going to get on this call?
Yeah.
And the transformation, call rates are up, success rates are up. You start to build a pipeline now.
Yeah.
I keep saying, the more of this you do now, the sooner you'll be into the account management side where you're making sales, and that's the real drug.
Yeah. Interesting.
But let's talk about the mini wins that you can get from every call.
I think there was two things that I always felt working with clients, and then again, when I speak to customers, your customers, when we go back and re-engage with them, I talk to them or whatever, we get feedback and that's all great stuff. And I listen to all of the geeks talk about clients. There's two words that were not a thing or a subject matter, but there are two words I think we fix really quick, and that's belief and confidence.
Yeah.
Getting them to believe in themselves, believe in their product, believe in their company, believing that they can do it, and build the confidence to go execute something.
It's interesting that doesn't say revenue and profits.
Yeah,
It's belief and confidence is absolutely another shot, which in turn will lead to
what the absolute.
And I think it's also confidence from the business owner or business leader.
Yeah.
He's got confidence in his sales team.
Yeah.
Because that's a big gap when you walk into a business first time. Right? They're not calling in a new sales director because everything's rosy. They're calling in a new sales director because they've got a problem.
It's true.
And they've got no confidence in the sales team.
Yeah.
And then to build that two ways is, again, it's a transformational thing.
Yeah, it's true. You could say that it's a sport, right? There's analogies, but
it seems it's true.
Yeah, sales training is you need the skills to go around and sell your products or services. We're here to help with that, but I think actually flipping it back on them, but without the mindset, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
To you, with them, and then actually these are things that you can do to help yourself to have a positive mindset.
So, final comments on your sales director. If you were to leave someone watching this video with, why should I get a geek into my business? Specifically, one of you three, maybe. Why should they do it?
Well, the outcomes you're going to get is sustainable growth. That's what you're going to get. That's the outcome you're going to get. That could be 10%. It could be 200%. Right, for your example there. Every business is different, and also you'll get somebody to hold you accountable as a business owner in there. You'll have some strategy. You'll know where the business is going. And we'll give you the tools and the processes in place and build your pipeline to make sure you get there.
Very good.
I think from my perspective, certainly the commonality of when I look at the business owners and leadership teams that I've worked with over the years, it gives them the space and time to breathe, understand, and really appreciate what's going on inside their business, that they are able to refocus on with the comfort and confidence and belief and everything you just talked about, that the thing that they worried about before, they don't need to worry about anymore, because we take care of that for them. We'll sort that out for them. And it gives them that time. And then that releases their stresses and strains to really start to focus on areas where they might be highly skilled at working at other areas in the business. Sales is not one of them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. But it gives them that breathing space and that headspace to really start to understand, actually, where is this business going next? And what is it capable of doing? Well, what is the possibility? And it might be X amount more times growth potential than they ever thought possible, but they've never looked at it objectively because they're completely trapped by it.
In the weeds of it, just do it.
Yeah. Oh, Mark, what are you?
A big one for me is the speed in which you can get a geek into your business. So if you're considering sales leadership right now for your team, let's be realistic. To employ a sales manager or a sales director, it's a 2-3 month process just to find and select the right person, plus their notice period. So you've got 5-6 month gap in your business with no sales leadership. Vast majority of us can be there next week.
Yeah.
For a shorter or greater amount of time. So we can be in there. We can be help solving all your sales problems for you, whilst in the background we can start building a plan to build a full-time replacement for it.
Yeah.
And it's low risk.
Yeah.
So you got 30-day rolling contract. You don't like us, we don't like you. We say thank you very much and we walk away. There's no long contracts in place.
Who doesn't like us?
There are one or two people there. It's because it says sales in the name. People, you see sales, people take just a little step back, like you're going to sell them a timeshare in Tenerife or something. I don't know. But yeah, the speed of getting us into the business and the speed of impact we can make, which gives them that breathing space.
I think that's a really, really good point. Acquiring a skilled, disciplined sales leader into the business takes many months of diligence. You've got to hire slow, fire fast, as they often say. But you've got to get the right person in the business. And then you've got 3 months to work out whether they're actually going to make an impact in your business. Did you hire the right person? So your cycle is 3 to 9 months to work out if that works. As you rightly say, you can engage with a geek on a Monday morning, and they can technically, if they've got capacity, be there on Tuesday afternoon in your business.
Yep.
It's just necessarily get in, off you go. Those 30 days, no contracts, crack on, and away you go. I like that one.
I wonder what the cost of inaction in that time frame would be.
Do you know what? I know.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, of course.
Of course I know the stats. I know the stats. It's because we didn't really step 2 for nothing. I do like a good spreadsheet. And we do like to research these things. So there are some numbers around it. And it varies different. So on the site, mostly Forbes, because they tend to do most research, and there's a bit of Gartner into this one. So cost of delay, and I'm going to give you an all business number here, from small business to large business. But the cost of delay ranges, and the failure of the wrong hire ranges from 50,000 to 500,000 over a 3 to 9 month period. Well, that is the cost.
Yeah.
Man, that's incredible. That's a mad number.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely crazy. So the salary is a number of component parts that go into those things, but the biggest contribution to that number is the impact. There's a calculation I think Forbes use and Gartner use, which is the impact that the person drives to drive revenue and growth into a business. You take that as a subtraction for every day or month that they're not there to make that impact to the business. Yeah, 50 grand to 500,000 is the number. You could have one of us Monday morning, what's not to lump that?
Actually, had that stat.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So there we have it. Some insight from everyone about your sales director and the importance of having a quality sales director in your business, the impact they can have on you, yourself, your team, your business, and the growth and direction that you take. Thanks very much for joining us. Join us again shortly where we'll be talking about sales training and the impact that will have on everyone that works for you.